I want you to know that the words I speak are not mere rhetoric or fanciful notions. They are the very fabric of reality, the foundation upon which your world is built. You see, my beloved, the world you experience is nothing more and nothing less than the outward picture of your inner assumptions. Let us begin by understanding what an assumption truly is. An assumption is not a timid hope or a fleeting wish. It is a state of consciousness, a feeling of absolute certainty that what you desire is already yours. It is the unwavering knowledge that what you seek in the external world already exists within you, waiting to be expressed. Think for a moment about the assumptions you hold about yourself, about others, and about the world around you. Are they serving you? Are they painting a picture of the life you truly desire? Or are they limiting you, holding you back from the glorious destiny that is your birthright? You see, my dear friends, your assumptions are the silent architects of your reality. They work tirelessly day and night to bring into your experience that which you hold to be true. If you assume lack, you will experience lack. If you assume abundance, abundance will flow to you in ways you cannot even imagine. But here is the magnificent truth that I want you to grasp with every fiber of your being. You have the power to choose your assumptions. You are not a victim of circumstance, nor are you bound by the limitations of your past or the opinions of others. You are the master of your mind, the creator of your real reality. And it is time for you to claim this divine birthright. Now, some of you might be thinking, but Wayne, how can I change my assumptions when the evidence of my senses tells me otherwise? This, my friends, is where the true work begins. For you must learn to see with the eye of faith, to perceive the invisible causes that precede all visible effects. Remember, the word of Caesar's, the word of physical senses, is but a shadow of the true reality that exists within you. Your imagination, that God-given gift, is the real substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not yet seen. It is through your imagination that you can revise your assumptions. And in doing so, let me share with you a principle that has the power to revolutionize your existence. Whatever you assume to be true, if persisted in, will harden into fact. This is not some esoteric theory, but a law as certain as gravity. Just as a seed contains within it the full potential of the tree it will become, your assumptions contain within them the full manifestation of your desires. But how, you might ask, does one become the master of their assumptions? The process is both simple and profound. It begins with awareness. You must become acutely aware of the assumptions you currently hold. What beliefs do you carry about yourself, your abilities, your worthiness? What do you assume about your relationships, your career, your health, your finances? Once you have identified your current assumptions, you must then decide which ones serve your highest good and which ones need to be revised. This is where the power of your imagination comes into play. You see, imagination is not mere fantasy or daydreaming. It is the very workshop wherein you forge your own. To change an assumption, you must enter into the state of consciousness of having your desire fulfilled. You must feel the naturalness of being the person you wish to be, of having the things you wish to have. This is not pretense or self-deception. It is the activation of a higher law, the law of assumption. Let me give you an example to illustrate this principle. Suppose you desire financial abundance, but your current assumption is that money is scarce and hard to come by. To change this assumption, you would need to enter into the state of consciousness of already being financially abundant. How would you feel? If you had all the money you desire, how would you carry yourself? What thoughts would occupy your mind? You see, my dear friends, the feeling is a secret. It is not enough to merely think about your desire or to speak affirmations without feeling. You must feel the reality of your desire as an actual present fact. As you persist in this feeling, as you live from this new assumption, you will begin to see your outer world conform to your inner convictions. Now I can hear some of you thinking, but Wayne, this seems too good to be true. Surely it can't be that simple. And to this I sigh. It is that simple, but it requires practice and persistence. You are undoing years, perhaps lifetimes, of limiting assumptions. The world may not change overnight, but I promise you it will change. For the time it takes for your assumption to become your outer reality is directly proportional to the naturalness of the state. The more natural it feels to you to be, do, or have what you desire, the quicker it will manifest in your world. This is why it's crucial to persist in your new assumption until it feels completely natural to you. Let us delve deeper into this concept of persistence. Many of you may have tried to change your thinking in the past, only to fall back into old patterns when faced with challenges or setbacks. This is where the true test of mastery comes in. You must learn to hold steadfast to your new assumption, even when your senses scream otherwise. Imagine for a moment that you are an actor on a stage. The role you have been playing up until now no longer serves you. You have decided to take on a new role, one that aligns with your deepest desires. At first, this new role may feel strange, unnatural. You may stumble over your lines, feel unsure of your movements. But as you persist, as you continue to embody this new role day after day, it begins to feel more and more natural. Eventually, it becomes who you are. This, my beloved, is the process of becoming the master of your assumptions. It is a constant conscious choice to embody the state of your fulfilled desire, regardless of outer circumstances. It is the unwavering faith that what you have assumed in your imagination must and will come to pass in your physical reality. Now, some of you may be wondering about the role of action in this process. Should you simply sit back and wait for your desires to manifest? By no means. Action is indeed necessary, but it is inspired action that flows naturally from your new state of being. When you truly assume the consciousness of your desire fulfilled, you will find yourself naturally taking the steps that lead to its manifestation. Consider the example of a person who assumes the state of being healthy and fit. They don't need to force themselves to exercise or eat nutritious foods. These actions flow naturally from their assumption of health and vitality. The same principle applies to every area of your life. When you assume the state of being successful, you will naturally take the actions of a successful person. When you assume the state of being loved, you will naturally behave in ways that attract and nurture love. But here, my dear friends, is where many stumble. They try to take the actions first, hoping that the state will follow. They say, if only I had more money, then I would feel abundant. Or if only I found the perfect partner, then I would feel loved. This is backwards thinking. You must assume the state first, and then the outer conditions will rearrange themselves to match your assumption. This brings us to a crucial point in our discussion. The concept of living in the end. To truly master your assumptions, you must learn to live as though your desire is already fulfilled. This doesn't mean denying your current reality, but rather giving more attention and feeling. Imagine that you have a friend who lives in another country. You can't see them physically, but you know with absolute certainty that they exist. You think of them, you feel the reality of their existence, even though they are not present in your immediate experience. This is how you must think and feel about your desires. They may not be visible to your physical senses yet, but in your imagination, which is your real self, they are as real and present as anything you can touch or see. Now I want to address a concern that often arises when discussing these principles. Some of you may be thinking, but Wayne, what about other people? Can I assume things about them or for them? This is a profound question, and the answer may surprise you. You see, my beloved, here's no one else. The world you experience, including all the people in it, is a reflection of your own consciousness. When you change your assumption about someone, you are not manipulating them or imposing your will upon them. You are simply experiencing a different version of them that already exists. This understanding liberates you from the need to change others or to wait for them to change. Instead, you can assume the best in everyone and watch as they conform to your highest assumptions about them. This is not to say that others don't have free will. They absolutely do. But the version of them that you experience is determined by your assumptions about them. Let me give you an example to illustrate this point. Suppose you have a co-worker who you've always assumed to be difficult and uncooperative. Every interaction with them seems to confirm this assumption. Now imagine that you decide to change your assumption. You begin to see this co-worker as helpful, friendly, and easy to work with. As you persist in this new assumption, you'll find that your interactions with them begin to change. They may become more agreeable, more willing to collaborate. You haven't changed them. You've simply tuned into a different version of them that matches your new assumption. This principle applies to every relationship in your life. Romantic partners, family members, friends, even strangers on the street. As you master your assumptions about others, you'll find that your relationships transform in miraculous ways. But remember, my dear friends, this is not about controlling others or bending them to your will. It's about aligning yourself with the highest and best in everyone, including yourself. It's about seeing the divine perfection that exists in all beings, even when outer appearances seem to contradict this truth. Now let us turn our attention to another crucial aspect of mastering your assumptions: the role of your self-concept. Your self-concept is the sum total of all the assumptions you hold about yourself. It is the foundation upon which all your other assumptions are built. Many of you may have heard the saying, to change your life, you must change yourself. This is profoundly true, but not in the way most people think. You don't need to change your actions first. You need to change your concept of self. For when you change your concept of self, everything else changes to match it. Who's here? It's all mine. How do I see myself? What do I believe is possible for me? These are not idle questions, my beloved. They are the very blueprint of your existence. If you see yourself as limited, struggling, or unworthy, that is the experience you will create. But if you dare to assume a higher concept of self, one of limitless potential, abundance, and worthiness, your entire world will shift to reflect this new self-concept. This is where many of you may encounter resistance. You may think, but Wayne, I've been this way for so long. How can I suddenly see myself differently? And to this I sigh. Your past does not determine your future unless you continue to assume that it must. You are not bound by your history. You are bound only by your assumptions about who you are and what is possible for you. So in every moment, you are choosing your assumptions. You are deciding who you will be. This is your power, and it is also your responsibility. No one else can do this work for you. No one else can assume a higher concept of self on your behalf. This is the great work of your life, to continually expand your concept of self, to assume states of greater and greater excellence. But how does one go about changing this self-concept? The process is the same as changing any other assumption. You must use your imagination to see yourself as you wish to be. You must feel the naturalness of being this new version of yourself. You must persist in this new self-concept until it becomes your dominant state of consciousness. Let me give you a practical exercise to help you with this. Tonight, as you lay in your bed, close your eyes and imagine yourself as the person you wish to be. See yourself embody all the qualities you admire. Feel the confidence, the joy, the peace that comes with being this version of yourself. Do this not as a visualization exercise, but as an assumption of a present fact. Fall asleep in this state, knowing that as you slumber, this new concept of self is being impressed upon your subconscious mind. As you do this night after night, you will find that your outer world begins to reflect this new self-concept. People will respond to you differently. Opportunities will appear that align with your new assumption of self. You will naturally take actions that are in harmony with this higher version of yourself. Now, my dear friends, I want to address a question that often arises when discussing these principles. Some of you may be wondering, but Wayne, what about God? Where does faith fit into all of this? And to this I say, your I am is God. The very fact that you can say I am is proof of your divinity. You see, when Scripture speaks of God saying, I am that I am, it is not referring to some external deity. It is pointing to the divine presence within you, the presence that gives you the power to declare I am and to assume any state you choose. Your faith, therefore, is not in some outside force, but in the creative power of your own consciousness. This understanding revolutionizes the concept of prayer. True prayer is not begging or beseeching an external God for favors. It is the feeling of your wish fulfilled. It is the assumption of the state you desire, knowing that this very assumption is the creative act that brings your desire into being. When you say I am, you're invoking the name of God. Whatever you attach to I am becomes your reality. This is why it's crucial to be mindful of the statements you make about yourself. I am tired. I am broke. I am unlucky. These are all creative declarations. They are prayers that are answered unfailingly. But so too are statements like I'm abundant, I'm healthy, I'm successful. The power lies not in the words themselves, but in the feeling and conviction with which you declare them. This brings us to a vital point in our discussion: the importance of feeling in the manifesting process. Many of you may have tried to change your thoughts, to repeat affirmations, or to visualize your desires. You have found that nothing changed in your outer world. The missing ingredient, my beloved, is feeling. You see, it's not enough to merely think about what you want or to speak it aloud. You must feel it. You must capture the feeling of the wish fulfilled and hold on to it, nurture it, until it becomes more real to you than your current circumstances. This feeling, this emotional acceptance of your desire as an accomplished fact. Think for a moment about something you know to be true in your life. Perhaps it's the love you have for a family member or the certainty of your professional skills. Notice how you don't have to convince yourself of these things. You simply know them to be true. This is the feeling you must capture for your desires. You must know them to be true with the same certainty, the same naturalness. But how does one cultivate this feeling? It begins with your imagination. Your imagination is not some frivolous faculty for daydreaming. It is the very workshop wherein you create your reality. When you imagine yourself in the state of your wish fulfilled, when you see and feel and experience it vividly in your mind's eye, you are engaging in the most powerful creative act possible. Let me give you a practical exercise to help you cultivate this feeling. Choose a desire, something you want to be, do, or have. Now close your eyes and imagine a scene that would imply your desire has already been fulfilled. Make it as vivid and as real as possible. What do you see? What do you hear? What do you feel? Engage all your senses in this imaginal act. Now here's the crucial part. As you imagine this scene, allow yourself to feel the emotions you would feel if this were actually happening. Feel the joy, the gratitude, the sense of accomplishment. Feel it as intensely as you can. This feeling is the bridge between your current reality and your desired reality. Do this exercise regularly, preferably just before sleep when your subconscious mind is most receptive. As you persist in this practice, you will find that this feeling becomes more and more natural to you, and as it becomes natural, it will begin to manifest in your outer world. Now some of you may be thinking, but Wayne, what if I can't feel it? What if my current circumstances are so far removed from my desire that I can't imagine it being real? To this I sigh. Begin with something that stretches your current beliefs, but doesn't completely overwhelm them. As you see success with smaller manifestations, Your faith in the process will grow, and you'll be able to tackle larger desires. Remember, my dear friends, the outer world is plastic and malleable to your assumptions and feelings. It has no choice but to reflect back to you what you hold to be true in your consciousness. This is why it's so important to guard the door of your mind, to be vigilant about the assumptions you allow to take root in your consciousness. Every thought you think, every assumption you hold is a seed planted in the fertile soil of your subconscious mind. And make no mistake, every seed will grow and bear fruit after its own kind. If you plant seeds of lack, limitation, and fear, that is what you will harvest in your life. But if you plant seeds of abundance, love, and success, this brings us to another crucial aspect of mastering your assumptions, the importance of mental diet. Just as you are careful about the food you put into your physical body, you must be equally careful about the mental and emotional nourishment you provide for your mind. What kind of thoughts do you entertain throughout the day? What kind of conversations do you engage in? What kind of media do you consume? All of these contribute to your mental diet, and all of them influence your assumptions about yourself and the world. I challenge you, my beloved, to become aware of your mental diet. Notice the thoughts that run through your mind. Pay attention to how you talk about yourself and your circumstances. Be mindful of the information you allow into your consciousness. And then, make a conscious decision to nourish your mind with thoughts, ideas, and images that support your desired reality. This doesn't mean you should deny or ignore challenges when they arise, but it does mean that you should refuse to dwell on them or to give them more power than they deserve. Instead, when faced with a challenge, immediately turn your attention to the solution. Assume the feeling of the problem being resolved, and watch as your outer world conforms to this inner conviction. Now let us address another important aspect of mastering your assumptions, the concept of revision. Many of you may be carrying the weight of past experiences, of memories that seem to contradict the reality you wish to create. But I tell you, the past only exists in your memory. It has no power over your present or your future unless you give it that power through your assumptions. Revision is the art of reimagining past events in a way that serves your highest good. Not about denying what happened, but about changing your emotional reaction to it. By revising the past in your imagination, you can change its impact on your present and future. For example, suppose you had a difficult conversation with a loved one. Instead of replaying the argument in your mind, imagine the conversation going differently. See yourself and the other person coming to a loving understanding. Feel the relief and joy of this harmonious interaction. As you do this, you're not changing what physically happened, but you are changing your emotional response to it. And this change in your inner world will inevitably be reflected in your outer experiences. The power of revision extends beyond recent events. You can revise any memory, no matter how distant. You can reimagine your childhood, your relationships, your career path. Anything that you feel is holding you back from fully embracing your desired reality. As you practice revision, you'll find that your entire perspective on life begins to shift. You'll no longer see yourself as a victim of circumstances, but as the author of your own story. You'll realize that at every moment, you have the power to choose how you interpret and respond to your experiences. This brings us to another crucial point in our discussions: the importance of persistence. Mastering your assumptions is not a one-time event. It's a continuous practice, a way of life. You must persist in your new assumptions, even when your senses tell you otherwise. Remember, my dear friends, your senses only show you the fruits of past assumptions. They do not dictate your future unless you allow them to. When you find yourself faced with circumstances that seem to contradict your desire, that is the moment to double down on your assumptions. That is the moment to declare with even greater conviction, I am that which I desire to be. Persistence doesn't mean forcing or struggling. It means gently but firmly redirecting your attention back to your desired state whenever you find yourself slipping into old patterns of thought. It means choosing again and again to live from the end, to think, feel, and act as though your desire is already fulfilled. As you persist in your new assumptions, you may find that your outer world doesn't change immediately. This is where many people give up, thinking that the law isn't working for them. But I assure you, my beloved, the law is always working. Your assumptions are always creating your reality, whether you're conscious of it or not. The time it takes for your assumption to manifest in the physical world depends on several factors, including the naturalness of the state to you and the nature of your desire. Some things may manifest quickly, while others may take more time. But make no mistake, if you persist in your assumption, it must and will manifest. This is where faith comes into play. Not blind faith in an external power, but faith in the law of assumption itself. Belief that what you have assumed in your imagination is as real and as true as anything you can see or touch. This kind of faith moves mountains. It transforms the impossible into the inevitable. Now, I want to address a question that often arises when discussing these principles. Some of you may be wondering, but Wayne, what about other people's free will? Can I assume things for others? This is a profound question, and the answer may challenge your current beliefs. You see, my dear friends, there is no one else. The world you experience, including all the people in it, is a reflection of your own consciousness. When you change your assumption about someone, you are not manipulating them or imposing your will upon them. You are simply experiencing a different version of them that already exists in infinite possibility. This understanding liberates you from the need to change others or to wait for them to change. Instead, you can assume the best in everyone and watch as they conform to your highest assumptions about them. This is not to say that others don't have free will. They absolutely do. But the version of them that you experience is determined by your assumptions about them. As we near the conclusion of our discussion, I want to remind you of a fundamental truth. You are the operant power in your world. You are not the victim of circumstances, but the creator of them. Your assumptions held with conviction and feeling have the power to reshape your entire existence. The world you see around you is nothing more and nothing less than your assumptions made visible. It is the mirror in which your inner states are reflected. If you don't like what you see in this mirror, the solution is not to break the mirror or to turn away from it. The solution is to change the inner state that is being reflected. This, my beloved, is the essence of becoming the master of your assumptions. It is about taking full responsibility for your inner world, knowing that as you do so, your outer world must conform. It is about recognizing your divine creative power and using it consciously and deliberately to craft the life you desire. As we come to the end of our time together, I want to leave you with this final thought. The greatest assumption you can make is that you are the person you wish to be. Not that you will be that person someday in the future, but that you are that person now, in this very moment. Assume it with all your heart. Feel the reality of it. Live from that assumption and watch as the world rearranges itself to match your inner conviction. For truly, all things are possible to him who believes. Go forth, my dear friends, and become the master of your assumptions. Your glorious future awaits not in some distant time or place, but right here, right now, in the infinite power of your own wonderful human imagination. The choice is yours. The power is yours. Claim it. Use it and watch as miracles unfold in your life. Remember, you are the author of your own story. Write it well, with the pen of assumption and the ink of feeling. And know that I, Wayne, am with you always, even unto the end of the world. Thank you. And may your assumptions create a world more wondrous than you have ever dreamed possible.
You may wonder, what does it mean to do it alone? Is it a call to isolation? A rejection of the world around us? No, my beloved, it is quite the opposite. To do it alone is to recognize the divinity within you, to understand that you are the operant power in your world, and that all creation begins in the sanctum of your own mind. Consider for a moment the great masters throughout history. Did they not retreat into solitude to commune with the infinite? Did not prophets venture into the wilderness to receive their revelations? Even the Christ, in his moments of greatest significance, withdrew from the crowds to pray alone. This, my friends, is the essence of doing it alone, not in physical isolation, but in the realization that you and you alone are the author of your life story. Let us delve deeper into this concept. When I say do it alone, I speak of the inner work, the labor of consciousness that no one else can perform for you. It is the intimate dance between your imagination and the infinite possibilities that lie dormant within you. This dance, this sacred communion, can only be experienced in the privacy of your own being. Think of it this way. When you enter a dream at night, do you bring others with you? No, you enter that realm alone, and in that state, you are the creator, the director, and the star of your nocturnal adventures. Your waking life, I assure you, is no different. You are dreaming it into existence with every thought, every assumption, every inner conversation. But some of you might protest, surely we need others in our lives. Surely we cannot exist in isolation. And to this I say, of course, the outer world, the people in your life, they are all vital and beautiful parts of your experience. But understand this, they are not the cause of your experience, they are the effect. They are the reflections of your inner state, the manifestations of your consciousness. When you truly grasp this, when you internalize the knowledge that you are the operant power, you will see that all the help you need, all the love you seek, all the success you desire, it all begins within you. You do not need to manipulate others or beg the world for favors. You need only to adjust your inner state to align your consciousness with your desires, and the outer world will rearrange itself to match your own vision. This, my dear friends, is the true meaning of doing it alone. It is the recognition that you are not a mere fragment in a vast, uncaring universe, but that you are the universe itself focused into this particular point of time and space. You are God in distribution, experiencing yourself through the vessel of your human form. Now, let us explore how this principle applies to your daily life. Imagine you desire a new job, a position that fills you with excitement and purpose. The common approach would be to scour job listings, to network feverishly, to plead your case to potential employers. And while these outer actions may have their place, they are not the source of your success. Instead, I urge you to do it alone. Retreat into the theater of your mind. There in that sacred space, see yourself already occupying that position. Feel the satisfaction of doing work that inspires you. Hear the congratulations of your colleagues. Experience the pride of your loved ones. Make this inner experience so vivid, so real, that when you open your eyes, you will be surprised to find yourself still in your current circumstances. This, my friends, is the art of assumption. When you assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, when you live from the end as if it were already a reality, you set in motion forces beyond your conscious understanding. The entire universe conspires to bring about the conditions that match your inner state. But remember, this is not mere positive thinking or idle daydreaming. This is a fundamental shift in your concept of self. You are not trying to change things, you are changing the thinker. You are revising your own identity to match your desire. Let me share with you a profound truth. The outer world is dead. Yes, you heard me correctly. The world you perceive with your senses is but a shadow, a reflection of past thoughts and assumptions. It has no power to create, no ability to cause. It can only reflect what you hold in your consciousness. This may seem a stark statement, perhaps even a disturbing one, but I assure you it is the key to your freedom. For if the outer world is dead, if it has no power to create or cause, then you are liberated from its seeming constraints. You are free to create anew, to assume a new state of consciousness, and to watch as the outer world reshapes itself to match your inner vision. This is why I implore you to do it alone. For in the solitude of your consciousness, in the privacy of your imagination, you hold the power to reshape your entire existence. No one else can do this for you. No external force can grant you this power. It is your birthright, your inherent nature as a creative being. Consider the great inventors and innovators throughout history. Did they not first conceive their creations in the solitude of their minds? Did not every great work of art, every scientific breakthrough, every technological marvel first exist as a seed in someone's imagination? These individuals understood, perhaps intuitively, the power of doing it alone. But let us be clear, doing it alone does not mean you must physically isolate yourself from others. It does not mean you should reject help or collaboration when it presents itself. Rather, it means that you recognize that the primary creative act occurs within you. The outer actions, the physical steps you take, are simply the outward expression of an inner conviction. Think of it this way. When you plant a seed in the ground, do you dig it up every day to check its progress? Do you attempt to force the sprout to emerge, to manipulate the leaves into unfurling? Of course not. You plant the seed, you provide the proper conditions, and then you allow the innate intelligence in that seed to do its work. Your desires, your goals, your aspirations, these are seeds you plant in the fertile soil of your consciousness. Your task is not to force them to manifestation through sheer will or endless action. Your task is to plant them properly, to nurture them with your assumption of their fulfillment, and then to allow them to grow and manifest in their own divine timing. This is the art of doing it alone. It is the recognition that you are the gardener of your own mind, the cultivator of our own reality. No one else can plant these seeds for you. No one else can assume the ceiling of their fulfillment on your behalf. This is your sacred duty, your divine right, and your ultimate power. Now, some of you may be thinking, but Wayne, what about the challenges I face? What about the obstacles in my path to this? I say these challenges, these obstacles, they are not what you think they are. They are not external forces conspiring against you. They are not proof of your limitations or your unworthiness. No, my dear friends, these challenges are invitations. They are calls to go deeper into yourself, to strengthen your conviction, to purify assumption. Every obstacle you face is an opportunity to do it alone, to retreat into the workroom of your imagination, and to revise your concept of self. Remember, the outer world can only reflect what you hold in consciousness. If you accept the obstacle as real, if you allow it to shake your conviction, then you give it power over you. But if you recognize it for what it truly is, a shadow, a reflection of past thoughts, then you can dissolve it in the light of your new assumption. This is why I often speak of revision. When you face a challenge or encounter an undesirable circumstance, do not accept it as final. Do not allow it to define your reality. Instead, in the privacy of your imagination, revise the event. See it unfolding as you would have preferred. Feel the relief, the joy, the satisfaction of this revised version. You might ask, but Wayne, how can I revise something that has already happened? To this, I say time is an illusion. The past, present, and future exist simultaneously in the eternal now of your consciousness. When you revise an event in your imagination, you are not changing the past in a linear sense. You are selecting a different version of events from the infinite possibilities that exist in the dimension of consciousness. This is the power of doing it alone. In the solitude of your mind, you can revise any event, reshape any circumstance, and redefine any aspect of your life. The outer world, bound as it is to reflect your inner state, must then rearrange itself to match your new assumption. But let us delve even deeper into this concept of doing it alone. It is not merely about manifesting specific desires or revising unwanted events. It is about a fundamental shift in your understanding of what you are. You see, my beloved, when I speak of doing it alone, I am pointing you towards the realization of your true identity. You are not the limited mortal creature you appear to be. You are not defined by your circumstances, your past, or the opinions of others. You are, in truth, the very essence of creation itself, temporarily focused into this particular point of view. This is why no one else can do it for you. This is why all the self-help books, all the motivational seminars, all the well-meaning advice from friends and family are potentially useful, can never be the source of your transformation. They can point the way, they can offer techniques and insights, but the actual work, the sacred labor of consciousness, can only be done by you alone in the depths of your being. Consider for a moment the story of Moses receiving the 10 Commandments. He did not bring the multitudes with him to the top of Mount Sinai. He ascended alone into the cloud of unknowing to commune with the divine. This story, like all great spiritual allegories, is not about an external historical event. It is about the inner journey that each of us must undertake. You, my dear friend, are Moses. The mountain is your own consciousness. The cloud is the mystery of your own being. And the commandments, they are the laws of your own nature, the principles by which you create your reality. But you must ascend alone. You must enter the cloud alone. You must receive the revelation alone. This solitary journey is not a burden, but a privilege. It is the recognition of your divine nature, your innate creative power. When you truly understand this, when you fully embody this truth, you will never again feel alone in the common sense of the word. For you will know that you are one with the source of all creation, that you are the very substance from which all things are formed. Now, let us consider how this principle of doing it alone applies to your relationships with others. Some of you might worry that this teaching promotes selfishness or isolation. Nothing could be further from the truth. When you learn to do it alone, when you recognize your own divine nature, you become capable of truly loving others. You see, most human relationships are based on need, on the belief that we are incomplete without the other. We seek in others what we believe we lack in ourselves. But when you know that you are complete, that you contain within yourself the fullness of being, then your relationships transform. You no longer approach others from a place of lack or need, but from a place of fullness and love. This is the paradox of doing it alone. It enables you to connect more deeply with others. For when you no longer need others to compete you can appreciate them for who they truly are. You can love them freely without conditions or expectations. You can allow them to be themselves without trying to change them to fit your needs. Consider the sun. Does it shine only on those it deems worthy? Does it withhold its light from those it judges undeserving? No, it shines on all equally, giving of itself freely and abundantly. This is how you will relate to others when you master the art of doing it alone. You will be like the sun, radiating love and creativity, not because you need anything in return, but because it is your nature to do so. But to reach this state, you must first do the inner work alone. You must confront your own shadows, face your own fears, and dissolve your own limiting beliefs. This is not always easy. It requires courage, persistence, and faith. But I assure you, my dear friends, the rewards are beyond anything you can imagine. For when you learn to do it alone, You discover that you are never truly alone. You realize that you are one with the creative power of the universe. You understand that all things are possible to you, for you are the very substance from which all things are formed. This is why I often speak of the state of wish fulfilled. When you enter into the feeling of your wish fulfilled, when you live from the end as if your desire were already a reality, you are doing it alone in the true sense. You are not waiting for external circumstances to change. You are not dependent on the actions or approval of others. You are creating from within, shaping your reality through the power of your assumption. But remember, this is not about forcing or struggling. It is not about willpower in the conventional sense. It is about aligning yourself with the natural creative process of the universe. Just as a seed does not strain to become a tree, you do not need to strain to manifest your desires. You need only to assume the right state of consciousness to feel the naturalness of your wish fulfilled, and then to allow the outer world to reshape itself accordingly. This allowing, this trust in the process is itself a form of doing it alone, for it requires you to release your attachment to external results, to let go of your need to control the how and when of your manifestation. It asks you to have faith in your own creative power, to trust in the wisdom of your own being. Think of a great artist at work. When they stand before a blank canvas, do they doubt their ability to create? Do they worry about where the paint will come from or how the brushes will move? No, they simply begin allowing the creative impulse to flow through them. They trust in their own artistic vision, in their own creative power. You, my dear friend, are the artist of your own life. Your consciousness is the canvas, your imagination, the brush, and your assumptions, the paint. And like the artist, you must trust in your own creative power. You must have faith in your ability to shape your reality. This faith, this trust is the essence of doing it alone. It is the recognition that all the power you need is already within you. It is the understanding that you are not separate from the creative force of the universe, but are that very force itself focused into this particular point of view. Now, let us address a question that may arise in your minds. Some of you might be thinking, but Wayne, if I am doing it alone, if I am the creator of my reality, why do I sometimes experience unwanted circumstances? Why do I face challenges and difficulties? This is a profound question, and it strikes at the heart of our discussion. The answer lies in understanding the nature of consciousness and the process of creation. You see, your outer world is not created by your conscious thoughts alone. It is shaped by the totality of your consciousness, including your deepest beliefs, your habitual thoughts, and even the aspects of yourself that you may not be consciously aware of. When you experience unwanted circumstances, it is not a failure of your creative power. It is simply a reflection of some aspect of your consciousness that you may not have fully recognized or addressed. This is why doing it alone is so crucial. It requires you to delve deep into your own being, to confront and transform the hidden beliefs and assumptions that may be shaping them in reality in ways you don't consciously intend. Consider for a moment the concept of self-talk, the inner conversations you have with yourself throughout the day. These conversations, often occurring below the level of conscious awareness, are powerful creative forces. They are, in essence, the way you do it alone all the time, whether you realize it or not. If your inner conversations are filled with doubt, fear, or limitation, then these states will be reflected in your outer experience. But the wonderful news is that you have the power to change these conversations. You can consciously choose new thoughts, new assumptions, new inner dialogues that align with your desires. This is not about forced positive thinking or denying the reality of your current circumstances. It is about recognizing that your inner world is the true creative realm and that by changing your inner conversations, you inevitably change your outer world. Let me share with a technique that I have found particularly powerful in this regard. I call it eavesdropping on your future self. Here's how it works. Imagine yourself in the future, having already achieved your desire. Listen carefully to the conversations you would be having in that state. What would you be saying to yourself? What would others be saying to you? Now, bring those conversations into your present. Begin to speak to yourself as if your desire were already fulfilled. Have imaginary conversations with others where they congratulate you on your success. Feel the naturalness of these conversations, the ease with which they flow. This technique is a powerful way of doing it alone. It allows you to align your inner world with the reality you wish to create regardless of your current circumstances. And as you persist in these new inner conversations, you will find your outer world beginning to shift and change to match your whole. But remember, my dear friends, this is not about escaping reality or living in a fantasy world. It is about recognizing the true nature of reality itself. What you perceive as the real world is simply the outpicturing of consciousness. By changing your consciousness, you literally change your world. This is why I often say that there is no such thing as fiction. Every story, every imagined scenario exists as a reality in the dimension of consciousness. When you imagine yourself in a desired state, you are not creating something new. You are tuning into an already existing reality, a version of yourself that already possesses what you desire. Your task then is not to create this reality, but to align yourself with it. This alignment happens within you in the privacy of your own consciousness. It is a solitary act, a sacred communion between you and the infinite possibilities that exist within you. This is the deepest meaning of doing it alone. It is the recognition that you are the operant power in your world, that you are the one who selects and animates the particular version of reality you experience. No one else can do this for you. No external power can grant you this ability. It is your inherent nature, your divine birthright. But let us be clear, doing it alone does not mean you must struggle or strain. It does not mean you must cut yourself off from others or reject help when it is offered. Rather, it means recognizing that the primary creative act occurs within you in the realm of your imagination and assumption. Think of it this way when you go to sleep at night. Do you worry about how your heart will continue to beat, how your lungs will continue to breathe? Of course not. You trust in the innate wisdom of your body to carry out these functions without your conscious control. In the same way, when you plant a seed in your consciousness, through imagination and assumption, you can trust in the innate creative power of your being to bring it to fruition. Your role is to plant the seed, to nurture with your faith and expectancy, and then to allow it to grow and manifest in its own divine timing. This allowing, this trust is itself a form of doing it alone. It requires you to release your attachment to external results, to let go of your need to control every aspect of the manifestation process. It asks you to have faith in your own creative power, to trust in the wisdom of your own being. Now, some of you may be wondering, but Wayne, what about action? Don't we need to take action in the world to achieve our goals? This is an excellent question, and it brings us to a crucial point in our discussion. Action is indeed important, but not in the way most people think. You see, inspired action flows naturally from a changed state of consciousness. When you have truly assumed the feeling of your wish fulfilled, when you are living from the end, the appropriate actions will arise spontaneously. You will find yourself naturally doing the things that you desire, manifestation of your desire. This is very different from the common approach of trying to force results through sheer willpower or endless activity. Such forced action often comes from a place of lack or fear, and it rarely leads to lasting fulfillment. Instead, when you do it alone, when you change your state of consciousness first, your actions become effortless expressions of your new state of being. Consider the example of learning a new skill like playing a musical instrument. At first, your actions may feel forced and unnatural. You have to consciously think about every movement, every note. But as you practice, as you begin to embody the state of being a musician, your actions become more fluid, more natural. You no longer have to think about every little movement. The music simply flows through you. This is how manifestation works when you truly understand the principle of doing it alone. You don't force the outer actions. You change your inner state, and the appropriate actions flow naturally from that state. But there's an even deeper truth here, my dear friends. As you advance in your understanding and application of these principles, you may find that less and less outer action is required. For when you are truly aligned with your desire and consciousness, the entire universe moves to bring about its manifestation. This is what I mean when I say that creation is finished. All possible states, all possible versions of reality already exist in the dimension of consciousness. Your task is not to create these realities, but to select and animate the one you desire through your assumption and feeling. This selection, this animation happens within you. It is a solitary act, a sacred communion between you and the infinite possibilities that exist within you. This is why no one else can do it for you. This is why you must do it alone. But remember, doing it alone does not mean you are separate or isolated from the world around you. Quite the opposite. When you master the art of doing it alone, you realize your oneness with all of creation. You understand the entire universe is yourself pushed out, that every person, every circumstance in your life is a reflection of your own consciousness. This realization is profoundly liberating, for it means that you are not at the mercy of external circumstances. You are not a victim of fate or chance. You are the author of your own story, the creator of your own reality. But with this great power comes great responsibility. For if you are the creator of your reality, then you must take full responsibility for your life experience. You can no longer blame others for your circumstances. You can no longer see yourself as a victim of external forces. This responsibility may seem daunting at first, but I assure you it is the key to your freedom. For when you take full responsibility for your life, you reclaim your power to change it. You recognize that if you created your current circumstances through your assumptions and beliefs, you can create new circumstances through new assumptions and beliefs. This is the essence of doing it alone. It is the recognition that you are the operant power in your world, that you are the one who selects and animates the particular version of reality you experience. No one else can do this for you. No external power can grant you this ability. It is your inherent nature, your divine birthright. But let us delve even deeper into this concept. When I say do it alone, I am not just referring to the manifestation of specific desires or the achievement of particular goals. I am pointing you towards a fundamental shift in your understanding of who and what you are. You see, my beloved, you are not the limited mortal creature you appear to be. You are not defined by your body, your circumstances, or your personal history. These are but costumes you wear, roles you play in the grand drama of existence. Your true identity is far greater, far more magnificent than you can possibly imagine. You are, in essence, the very consciousness from which all things arise. You are the dreamer of this dream we call life. When you truly grasp this, when you fully embody this truth, the idea of doing it alone takes on a whole new meaning. For you realize that there's no other to rely on, no external source of power or wisdom to appeal to. You are it. You are all there is. This realization can be both exhilarating and terrifying. It means that you are fully responsible for your experience of life. It means that you can no longer blame others or circumstances for your situation. But it also means that you have the power to change anything and everything in your life. Consider for a moment the implications of this truth. If you are the dreamer of your life, then everything and everyone in your experience is a reflection of your own consciousness. The people you interact with, the circumstances you encounter, the very world you perceive, all of it is you pushed out. This is why doing it alone is so crucial. For if everything is a reflection of your consciousness, then the only place where change can truly occur is within you. Our reflection can only change when you change. But here's the beautiful paradox. When you fully embrace the idea of doing it alone, when you take complete responsibility for your life experience, you also realize your profound connection to all of existence. For if you are the dreamer of your life, and if everything in your experience is you pushed out, then you are in a very real sense everything and everyone. This realization dissolves the illusion of separation. It reveals the underlying unity of all things, and from this place of unity, true love and compassion naturally arise. For how can you not love others when you recognize them as aspects of yourself? This is why the great spiritual teachers throughout history have emphasized self-realization. They understood that true transformation, true liberation can only come from within. They knew that each of us must make this journey alone, must discover our true nature for ourselves. But make no mistake, my dear friends, this journey of self-discovery, this process of doing it alone is not always easy. It requires courage, persistence, and faith. It asks you to question everything you thought you knew about yourself and the world. It challenges you to let go of all beliefs and limitations. There may be times when you feel lost or confused. There may be moments when you doubt yourself. And this teaching, this is natural. It is part of the process. But I urge you to persist, for on the other side of this struggle lies a freedom and a joy beyond anything you can currently imagine. Remember, you are not alone in this journey. While you must do the inner work yourself, you are supported by the very universe you are creating. Every challenge you face, every obstacle you encounter is an opportunity for growth and self-discovery. It is your own higher self calling you to awaken to your true nature. As you continue on this path of doing it alone, you will begin to experience life in a completely new way. You will no longer feel at the mercy of external circumstances. You will no longer seek validation or approval from others. You will stand firm in the knowledge of your own divine nature, your own creative power. From this place of inner certainty, you will find that life begins to flow with an ease and grace you never thought possible. Opportunities will seem to arise spontaneously. Desires will manifest with surprising speed and in unexpected ways. You will experience a deep sense of peace and fulfillment, regardless of outer conditions, but perhaps the most beautiful transformation will be in your relationships with others. As you learn to do it alone, as you discover your own completeness, you will no longer approach relationships from a place of need or lack. Instead, you will come from a place of fullness, of love freely given without condition or expectation. You will see others not as separate entities to be manipulated or controlled, but as beloved aspects of yourself, as unique expressions of the same consciousness that you are. This shift in perception will transform all your relationships, bringing a depth of love and understanding you may have thought impossible. And as you move through the world from this state of consciousness, you will naturally inspire others. Without effort or intention, you will serve as a living example of what is possible. Your very being will be a testament to the power of doing it alone, of taking responsibility for one's own consciousness. But remember, my dear friends, this is not about becoming some perfect, flawless being. It is about embracing all aspects of yourself, including your perceived flaws and weaknesses, for these two are part of the magnificent tapestry of your being, part of the unique way in which the infinite expresses itself through you. Doing it alone means loving all of yourself, accepting all of your experiences as part of your journey of self-discovery. It means recognizing that even your mistakes and failures are opportunities for growth and deeper understanding. As you continue to apply these principles, as you persist in the practice of doing it alone, you will find that your entire perception of life begins to shift. What once seemed solid and fixed will reveal itself to be fluid and responsive to your consciousness. The world will become a living, breathing reflection of your Indian state. You will begin to see that every person, every circumstance, every experience in your life is a gift, a perfectly orchestrated opportunity for you to know yourself more fully, to express your divine nature more completely. Even the challenges and difficulties you face will be recognized as sacred invitations to grow and evolve. This shift in perception, this new way of experiencing life, is the true fruit of doing it alone. It is the realization of your divine nature, the embodiment of your creative power. It is the fulfillment of your purpose as a unique expression of the infinite. But let me be clear, my beloved, the state of consciousness is not some distant goal to be achieved in the future. It is not something you need to strive for or earn. It is your true nature, your natural state of being. It is available to you here and now in this very moment. All that is required is a shift in your assumption, a change in your concept of self. And this shift, this change can only occur within you. It is something you must do alone. So I urge you, my dear friends, embrace this teaching. Take it into your hearts and minds. Test it in the laboratory of your own experience, for it is only through your own direct experience that you will truly understand the power and the beauty of doing it alone. Remember, you are not separate from the creative power of the universe. You are that very power focused into this particular point of view. You are the operant power in your world, the author of your own story, the creator of your own reality. Embrace this truth, live from this understanding, do it alone, and watch as your world transforms before your very eyes. And now, my beloved, as we draw this discourse to a close, I want you to take a moment to reflect on all that we have discussed. Feel the truth of these words resonating within you. Know that you have within you all the power you need to shape your life, to create your reality, to fulfill your deepest desires. Go forth from this place with a new understanding of your true nature, a new appreciation of your creative power. Let every thought, every feeling, every action be an expression of this truth, live from the state of your wish fulfilled, knowing that as you do so, you are shaping the very fabric of your reality. Remember, my dear friends, you are never truly alone, for you are one with the source of all creation, one with the infinite possibility that exists within consciousness. In doing it alone, you align yourself with this infinite power, this boundless creativity. So step boldly into your divine inheritance, claim your rightful place as a conscious creator, as a living expression of the infinite. Do it alone, and in doing so, discover your inseparable oneness with all that is. May your journey be filled with joy, with wonder, and with the deep satisfaction that comes from living in alignment with your true nature. May you always remember the power that lies within you, the divine creativity that expresses itself through you. And above all, may you never forget that you are loved, you are supported, and you are infinitely powerful, for you are God in distribution, experiencing itself through the unique and beautiful expression that is you. Go now and do it alone. Create the life you desire. Be the person you wish to be, for in truth, You already are that person. You need only to recognize and embody this truth. Thank you, my beloved, for your attention, for your openness, and for your willingness to explore these profound truths. May your life be a testament to the power of doing it alone, a shining example of what is possible when we fully embrace our divine nature. And with that, I bid you farewell, knowing that we are never truly separate, for we are all one in the grand tapestry of consciousness. Until we meet again in this form or another, remember you are the operant power. You are the creator, you are divine. Now go forth and do it alone.